This is the plaintiff, Clifton Cuthbertson. He says he was involved in an accident with a police car. The cop had an attitude and ordered the defendant to tow his car against his will. The defendant broke his steering column trying to get the transmission into neutral. And now he has $2,723.61 in damages. And the defendant needs to pay. This is the defendant, Edward. He says the plaintiff became belligerent and tried to block the tow of his car by locking the doors. He told him the cop ordered him to tow the car and he had to unhook the transmission linkage to get the car out of park. Once the plaintiff came to retrieve the car, he rehooked the transmission linkage and drove off. Now he's suing? For what? He's accused of twerking a tranny.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says he was in an accident with a cop car and the defendant towed the car away and damaged it. But the defendant says he was ordered by the cop to do exactly what he did. It's the case of cop with a bad tow.
Clifton Cuthbertson? You were, say it again?
Cuthbertson.
Cuthbertson. I thought that's what I said. Clifton Cuthbertson. You are suing Consumer Collision Center, represented here by Edward.
Yes.
Okay. For $2,723.61 in repairs that you say you are now going to have to undergo because, according to you, they negligently towed your car. Tell me what happened.
On August the 3rd, approximately in the Bronx, somewhere by Fordham Road, my car accelerated due to a cable that was stuck in front of the acceleration cable. So as I pressed down on the gas, it stuck it, and then the car just lifted off by itself. I stopped. I slid 35 feet into an unmarked police car that was going. It didn't stop.
Oh, wow. That's some unfortunate luck right there.
Yeah, talk about it. Well, make a long story short, they... Who
was in the car with you?
I was in there, my 3-year-old son, my girlfriend, and my best friend. We were just coming back from taking my son to the park.
Okay.
And I'll make a long story short from there. The officer got out of his car with his gun on his hand on his gun, ran around to my side as I was getting out, trying to make sure that they were all right. He started patting me down. I said, it was an accident. What are you patting me down for? There was no reason for that. Oh, shut up and get against the car. So he patted me down, realized I didn't have anything on me. Then they called, I guess, backup or whoever, their captain. They came over.
Was he off duty or in an unmarked car on duty?
He was in an unmarked car on duty. And
was he parked or was he driving?
He was at a stop sign. He started to go through the stop sign because I seen his tail lights go off, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Like he stopped again, the lights came on.
You hit him from behind?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then he hopped out, like I said, and then he called back up. Next thing I know, there were like 10 cars there. And I'm asking him, I'm like, well, what's going on? At the very last minute, and when I mean by last minute, I mean as when he says your cars are getting ready to get towed, the tow truck was already at the stop sign. So he didn't tell me nothing about the car being towed until that point. Now, when they
There's probably a good reason for that, because you probably went nuts.
Exactly.
Right. And in fact, so nuts that you ended up actually getting arrested.
Actually, they arrested me for basically nothing. The car was already jacked in the air.
Wait, tell me about it. So the tow truck company comes and you tell them it's drivable. How did you know it was drivable?
Because before the tow truck came, I actually got in the car, put it in reverse, backed it up into a parking spot to show the officer, look, my car is drivable. It was just a wire. I moved the wire. The car is fine. Right.
But that's the same car that had a problem where the wire got stuck and you ended up crashing into somebody. And if you could fix it so easily, I mean, in other words, you understand. I know you felt like they should have let you drive away with the car, but can you see the other side of that one where you're telling them the reason that you didn't brake is because a wire got stuck? Oh, no worries, I took care of it. But just think about the lawsuit that the police department would have in their hands if they let you drive that car home and you end up running over some child and killing them because, the wire got there again. All right, so it ends up, what happens when the tow company hooks up your car? You're the tow company. Who's the actual tower? The guy who was out there towing. All right, go ahead. Come on up closer to the microphone. Go ahead.
He's on this side of the car doing something underneath, and I'm like, what is he doing? So I go around to the other side of the car, And I lay down on the floor and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm taking off your linkage,
Why did he have to take off your
Because
linkage?
I refused to give the key because, like I said, and it was, I didn't mean
you refused to give the key and then you locked the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like I said, once I get underneath not even under the key, once I lay next to the car and I peek my head under
What are you laying down next to the car for? To stop them from moving it?
No, not stopping it from moving it. Because it was already jacked in the air. If I was going to do that, I would have stayed in the car and not gotten out.
Right.
And locked the door.
Okay.
So I laid down to ask him, what are you doing? He says, oh, I'm taking your linkage off. Next thing I know, they're dragging me from back basically out into the middle of the street by my pants and then cuffing me and putting me in the car.
Wow. All right. You were present?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, from the time you got there, tell me about the interaction between him and the police officer. I'm kind of curious.
Oh, he was really upset and giving the officers a hard time. So.
Why'd they arrest him, though?
They arrested him because he went under the car. When I was under the car, he came under the car with me. So.
And did what?
I don't know what he was doing. He just came under the car.
He crawled under the car?
Crawled under the car, yes.
But what did he do when he got there? Like, oh, come on, I really want this picture painted for me. What did he do when he got there?
He just get under the car right beside me and
what did he say to you?
The officer asked him what he's doing. He said he's looking.
Okay, and that's it? That's why they arrested him? Did you think the officer should arrest him? It's just between you and me.
Well,
I don't know.
Not for me to say, but
okay.
They did arrest
So
him.
you tow the car. Tell me about the linkage that you removed. What's that about?
It's a transmission. Because he unwilling to give up his key, then we had to tow the car. So we had to unhook the cable that worked the transmission.
Okay.
So
is this something that's done? How often is this done?
Yeah, it's done all the time. It's done all the time.
How many times have you done it?
Hundreds of times.
Okay. And so you unhook the cable and then what?
And get it in neutral. So at that point it can be towed.
Okay. And you towed the car. He comes to pick up the car and he has to pay how much? Does he pick it up the same day?
No, I think it's 3 days later he picked it up, I think.
You who were so anxious to have your car, how come you waited 3 days to pick up your car?
Because I was incarcerated.
Oh, jeez. How long were you incarcerated? I know they arrested you. I kind of assumed that it was going to be some relatively Mickey Mouse charge that you got out on right away. That didn't happen?
Not down at 161st.
Oh, my goodness. So you were come on up.
I was in for 2 days.
Why did you take him out of jail? Why was he in jail 3 days?
I actually had to speak to his lawyer to let her know what was going on. And she said, okay, just, be calm. I'll fix it. And
what ended up happening with the case?
It's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing.
Because I'm refusing not to just cop out to disorderly conduct. I felt like I was just wrongly railroaded for no reason because I hit an unmarked police car. The boys in blue stick together.
I mean, because there's nothing wrong with boys in blue sticking together. It would just be nice if you didn't get arrested just because you didn't want your car towed. It's kind of, there's either more to the story that I'm not hearing, which could actually certainly be the case, or you are right not to cop. Right. Not to cop out to anything.
Right. And I have an actual video from my best friend. He actually recorded the officer signing his name on the tow slip. Because I refused because I didn't feel like I didn't have to. There was no reason for my tow to get caught. I actually asked the officer, and my lawyer asked the officer on the scene if I could leave the car there and call somebody that I know and trust to tow my car from there back to my house. And
all right, so he picks up the car 2 days later, and how much does he pay was my question.
He paid $247.
$247. Okay, now, according to you, you pick up the car, and when do you first spot a problem?
When I picked up the car, first off, I had to wait an hour and a half for someone to come around to put the linkage back on. Then the guy says, well, I don't know how to get to the linkage. So he takes it from the tow yard, goes back in front of the office, and he has to get a paper clip. He takes it and he puts the screw on by hand, doesn't tighten it. Then he takes a paper clip because there's a retainer clip that goes along with that. He takes the paper clip and sticks it in where the retainer clip goes and says, oh, it'll hold, just enough for you to get home. The heavyset gentleman in the middle is the guy that I saw and basically complained to him when I realized that these problems were in my car. He says, oh, really?
What problems did you complain about?
The doors being open, The lower
What do you mean
vent.
the doors being open?
I locked doors.
You mean unlocked, not open?
No, they were open too.
I'm sorry, they drive up the car to you with doors flapping?
No,
open?
the doors were closed, but they weren't closed all the way. I
Yeah,
have
but
pictures.
one of them wasn't closed because that's where you hit the car.
No, the door's
Right?
closed
Do you
fine.
have pictures of your car?
Yes, I do. These are from the
That's what I
tow
was
yard.
looking for.
These are from the steering column. And this is from where he writ on a linkage where it was supposed to be put back together. And they act
Okay,
like they couldn't
your
do it.
lawsuit is for two things, according to the original lawsuit that you filed: damage to the shift linkage and interior of car. What was the damage to the interior of car?
The steering column is completely cracked in half. And the steering, where it's cracked in half, is basically where you shift it. Because mine have a floor
but you
shifter.
think they did that?
Of course, because they had to forcefully put it in
Okay,
neutral.
he's complaining about a crack to the steering column. Does someone want to address that?
The car was locked. We were never inside the car, Your Honor. As he said earlier, he locked the car. He wouldn't give us entry. That's why we had to drop the linkage and put the car in neutral. We never had keys for the car. When he picked up the car,
How is it
the
that
car
they
was
would be
still in
able to
neutral.
have your car unlocked and open and go inside and crack your steering column for spite? Because at that point the car was
actually-
I'm in the middle of my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because at that point the car was already on the lot. How would they have access to do the kind of damage that you're claiming they did when you locked the car and didn't let them in? Which is why they had to remove the linkage to begin with.
Okay, the damage was done to the linkage in the steering column at the same time, whereas he's forcefully trying to put it in neutral from underneath the car. And you're
Okay,
pulling
now I
it.
know you're an expert because you're the guy who diagnosed the wire under the. But do you have an expert? Do you have any expert testimony to say the things you're saying right now?
Oh, right here.
Yeah. That.
It's on this because they're telling me this is from
Okay, so when you pick up the car, according to you, you see the crack there, and what else?
the crack. Well, first thing first, because I had to walk up to the car, I saw my doors were open, and there's pictures of it on the lift while it's still jacked
have
up
a
in the
picture?
air. Yes, you have everything right there.
Now, it's on the lift. This is when they're
I went to
bringing
get
it to you?
Yes.
And I mean, but this door is damaged. How do you know that door could? You're saying, "Oh, look, Judge, they had my doors open," but how do I know that's not from the accident?
No, the accident is in the front right corner. The only
Well, what's
thing.
going on with this? What's that?
No, that's stuff that I before.
What year is this car?
It's an 81
81 what?
Chevy Camaro.
You gotta put some love into this car, man. It's an 81 Camaro.
Yeah,
What the hell's wrong with you?
everything I can. That car is supposed to be for my son when he gets to high school. So I'm taking my time and doing everything the right way.
Nice.
And this is why I took the picture because.
You find me a 78 Camaro and I got me some memories.
Well, actually, the 78 and the 81 are basically the same year.
I know.
Yeah. And you can't.
Wait, hold on. I got to come back. All right. Typically speaking, what people will do is bring me something from the expert that says that the tow caused it. And I don't see that here. You just asked for a quote on what it would cost to replace your shifter linkage.
Right.
All right. Now, you tell me why it is that you guys who were the last one messing with the shifter linkage wouldn't be the ones who had caused it.
Simple right here, Your Honor. Here's a diagram of all the linkage, what we disconnected, the clip that we take off, and the clip that we put back on.
Tell me about it.
It's like a paper clip. You take it off, you take a pair of pliers, you manually put the transmission from park to neutral. You never touch nothing inside of the car. You're bypassing the whole inside of the car now. You're never near the shifter, no nothing. You're working straight from the transmission. You're going from park to neutral. You're towing the car. When you're finished, you put the car back in park. You put the rod back on. You put the clip back in place. That's it, you're done. And here's diagrams to show that.
So, I mean, in other words, your implication is that no one could ever ruin it by doing that, I guess. Do you have anything from anyone saying, hey, this got ripped or this got, saying something that would indicate to me that it was during the tow?
Oh.
You know, all it says is this is what it cost to buy a new one. Okay, that's interesting. I could pick up a phone and call somebody and say this is what it costed. It doesn't say the part you need, which is that it's their fault.
Well, she was there when I picked the car up. She was there when they took the car. And basically when I took it to the shop to get the estimate done for the body work, he put it on the lift.
Who'd you talk to over there?
The owner.
What's his name?
It's on the slip.
I don't see it on the slip. So you tell me and what? Are you saying that they said it was the tow's fault?
Yes.
Were you there?
Yes.
And did they say that?
Yes, they did.
Good. Give me the name of the person who said that.
The same person that wrote this estimate is the same person that told me this.
That what? That it was during the tow?
That it was during the tow.
Because they didn't put it on that paper. You know that, right?
Right.
All right, court's in recess.
All right.
So if the cop orders the defendant to tow it a certain way and that caused the damage, is the defendant responsible?
Well, you know, he could have a case against both the tow company and the city.
Well, yeah, but my question is the tow company on the hook if the cop ordered him to do it?
Well, if the officer ordered it, then, like I say, the litigation now could be against the...
Okay, I get it, but could is the tow truck company also responsible?
I say they're both responsible and they should both,
The tow truck guy saying, I just did what I was ordered.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's his fault.
It's the defendant's fault?
Yeah.
Huh, going inside the courtroom.
I had a very interesting conversation with the owner of King's Auto Experts Incorporated, Joe, who was a peach, and was very tolerant of my complete and total lack of knowledge of cars and this method of solving the issue you guys had out there and towing it that way. So I spent a great deal of time asking him questions, and he says you guys did it wrong. He says that it wasn't and I didn't expect that. I fully expected to be able to, clear my head and have him say, all right, if I thought that, I'd have written that, which is usually what happens. When I go the extra mile to get to the bottom of things, they'll say, well, no, that's a guess, but I'm not willing to say that. He goes, listen, he says that the linkage was broken, the aluminum part that goes into the transmission, that things weren't fully released, and that this is not an optimal way of doing this. But he says that it is absolutely his opinion that it was during the tow. Now, what he doesn't agree with you on is this stuff about your steering column. Nice try throwing that in there. He does not say that he ever told you that the steering column got cracked because of something that was going on underneath, the car. He says that's absurd. I never told him that, and that's not it. And he wanted to get the steering column fixed, but that has nothing to do with the tow, which means to me that your steering column was cracked beforehand, that you're trying to throw it in here, which makes me very, very sad.
No, ma'am.
Because I really wanted to see you as the little guy getting the short end of the stick, and now you're just another person trying to take advantage of things. So as for the steering column, you're not going to get a penny out of that. But as for the damages to the linkage, I'm going to, in fact, find in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the $1,674. That's my judgment. Good luck, folks.
Hold on, please.
So here come the tow guys on the wrong end of this one here. Step right over here. The judge says both parties were a little bit. Here, come on in. Judge says you did it wrong, and so did that guy on the phone.
Well, that's the judge's opinion, and
well, she got it from him. He's the expert.
No, we're the experts. That's his opinion. We have documentation of how it's done.
You said you pull the cotter pin, take out the rod, and then you, maybe you didn't,
No, there's only one way to, and we did it correctly. But everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Okay.
And that's what they did.
All right. Okay, you just head right around the corner here,
Thanks.
sign your documents on the way out, and okay, so you tried to sneak a little extra in there, or so says the judge.
Actually, I didn't. I didn't notice it until I picked the car up.
So you satisfied with what you come out of here with? At least you were able to prove that they did damage your car by towing it incorrectly.
Absolutely.
Good enough for you?
It's good enough for I have to do.
Okay, Harvey.
By the way, tow truck companies are usually licensed by either the city or the state. And before going to court, you might call the licensing agency, see if you can put some pressure on the tow truck company to do the right thing if they were doing the wrong thing. That'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.